Hello, my name is Amanda Honey, and today I am presenting an abnormal psychology case study on complex post-traumatic stress disorder, focusing on the life of legendary Linkin Park frontman Chester Bennington. We will examine how prolonged childhood abuse shapes the developing brain. We will map his severe symptoms directly to our textbook diagnostic criteria and tragically analyze how developmental trauma can become a fatal condition. Chester Bennington's childhood was defined by severe chronic developmental trauma. Starting at just 7 years old, he was subjected to prolonged sexual and physical abuse. When his parents divorced, he suffered intense emotional neglect from an unavailable caregiver, leading to extreme isolation and early severe substance addiction that drained his stability. He hid this abuse for years out of fear and shame, creating a profound spiritual void. And this multidimensional trauma fundamentally altered his psychological development before he ever reached adulthood or even global superstardom. In Chapter 7 of our textbook, Abnormal Psychology, Dr. William J. Ray outlines the criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder. While traditional PTSD can stem from a single event, clinical psychology recognizes complex PTSD, or CPTSD, when an individual suffers repetitive, inescapable trauma over years, such as childhood abuse. This condition permanently forces the nervous system into 4 distressing clusters: persistent intrusion symptoms, constant avoidance and numbing, severe negative alterations in cognition and mood, and extreme physiological hyperarousal. Bennington's clinical presentation spanned all 4 of these textbook dimensions. Bennington's symptoms mapped directly to Dr. Ray's textbook criteria. His artistic output was a literal expression of intrusion symptoms. Lyrics to hits like Crawling and Numb explicitly detailed feeling consumed by internal inescapable terror. To practice clinical avoidance, he turned to severe substance abuse to chemically numb his memories, his childhood memories. His cognitive alterations manifested as persistent major depressive episodes and intense self-loathing. Ultimately, his chronic physiological hyperarousal, marked by sleeplessness, panic, and emotional volatility, became too heavy to bear. On July 20th, 2017, he tragically lost his life to suicide. I'm illustrating the fatal stakes of unresolved developmental trauma. I'm so sorry. That is hard, and I've gone over it several times. To ground this case in empirical science, peer-reviewed neurobiological research explains why childhood trauma is so uniquely destructive. Studies such as those by Lutfinia and colleagues proves that chronic abuse during critical development windows physically alters brain architecture. It causes permanent hyperactivity in the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, while structurally weakening the prefrontal cortex, which regulates emotions. So for Chester Bennington, this meant that his adult brain was neurologically wired to remain in a constant, exhausting state of fight or flight, which had him treating his past childhood horrors as active, present-day threats. So treating complex PTSD is exceptionally challenging due to high rates of clinical comorbidity or co-occurring disorders. Peer-reviewed psychiatric literature emphasizes that treating substance addiction or depression without processing the foundational childhood trauma almost always results in a relapse loop. Gold standard evidence-based treatments require a dual diagnosis approach. This combines trauma-focused therapies like EMDR, which I actually have that sound playing right here in the background. That's what you're hearing. Or cognitive processing therapy with strict addiction care, aiming to safely desensitize the overactive nervous system and help the patient reclaim emotional stability and baseline safety. So this concludes my clinical case analysis. Here are the peer-reviewed journal articles, diagnostic manuals, and textbook sources utilized for this research presentation. Thank you very much for your time.